What's up, guys? We have another great episode of the MarbleCast for you with special guest Ani Saliasi. Ani is a pro bodybuilder, and he was happy to come on here and share some insight into his bodybuilding career and his training that he used to reach his goals. I had a bunch of technical difficulties through this episode with sound issues and video issues, but I'm posting it anyway to remind us all of our humble beginnings. We hope you enjoy this episode, so let's check it out. Alright, welcome back to another MarbleCast. I'm Joe Marble, and today I'm joined by Ani Saliasi, a good friend of mine from high school, who's a massive savage. Ani, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Joe? So, quick thank you for having me on the show. Kind of excited to see what we talk about, what we touch up on. So, hey, just glad to be here.
It's like a high school reunion, except you gained 100 pounds, but in a good way.
Yeah, about that. It's been what? Like 18 years or so?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So before we get into anything, I just want to let you know that I had a very uncomfortable time making the thumbnail for this this video. Because if you Google Ani Saliasi and you go to the images and you're a straight guy running a business while there's people walking around and your screen is in plain sight, it's going to look very awkward for you.
I used to have the same reaction when Facebook was a thing. I used to have a lot of those photos on Facebook. I mean, I deleted it now, but like professional people like I went to college with or professors would find my Facebook page and they'll be like, what are we looking at right now? So, yes, it is a little interesting when you Google my name, yeah.
So ladies, get out there, Google Ani Saliasi and just go straight to the images. You'll have a great time. So, we wrestled in high school. He used to beat the shit out of me in practice, and it was a good time. And now you've graduated. You're in the military. You have a modeling career.
Oh, for a while, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to call it that, yes.
I mean, definitely something like that, right?
Yeah. So I mean, after high school, I needed a new outlet to work out, right? So because we wrestled, and that was kind of like where I put all my energy into. And when I went to college, I didn't have anything of that nature. So I was used to working out, every day, 3 hours a day. So I needed something to do, and I decided to go into bodybuilding, weightlifting, whatever you want to call it. And that was my new outlet. And through that, I got into the bit in the bug of like, I want to compete into bodybuilding. Like, I want to, because I grew exponentially like the first year of starting training, like officially weight training. Because as you know, when you're wrestling, you try to keep your weight as low as possible, right? So you eat as little as possible. You try not to lift weights because muscles are useless when it comes to fighting. So when I started doing the opposite, eating a lot and lifting weights, my body just responded to it so quickly. So I became bit by this bug. I'm like, oh shit, like my body's reacting real quick to weights and diet. I want to compete. I want to be a bodybuilder. And then from there, kind of everything like snowball effect, competing, bodybuilding, and then photo shoots and modeling and this and that. And then it just came to be kind of like a career/hobby. I don't know what you want to call it.
I got to pause real quick because I forgot to put audio on my thing, I think. Hold on 1 second. We don't have to start over because I do have audio for myself, but it will just be shitty. So sorry for the technical difficulties. So yeah, all right, let's get back into it. My bad. So you started bodybuilding in college?
Yeah, so as soon as I started college. So after the age of 18, I started weightlifting and bodybuilding.
So for everybody to understand, you were already pretty ripped up when you were in high school. Like you had a pretty good shape to you. You were pretty jacked, very shredded. Yeah. So really, you adding size to that was just a matter of eating a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the moment I started eating more than 2 meals a day, because that's what we used to eat when we wrestled, because God forbid I gained a pound, that was a no-no. And then the moment I started actually lifting heavy, like I had a purpose to lift, rather than just doing, 2-3 hours of calisthenics, of running and jumping around, my body just responded. I think within the first year of like touching weights, I gained like 25-30 pounds of just muscle, because obviously my body fat was always lean, like since I could remember, since 14. I've had like sub, 7% body fat or whatever you want to call it, like below 10, always shredded. So it just quickly just responded to it. And I was like, maybe there is some hope for me after all. So that's how I got into it.
What was your first competition?
My first competition?
Yeah.
I entered a teenage bodybuilding competition. I actually got first place in it in teenage. I was 19 at the time, so 1 year of training. And I remember I was getting made fun of it when I showed up to the gym the first time because a couple of like big guys found out that, you know, I was interested in competing, and they're like, this kid's a joke. Because again, in high school I weighed 160 pounds, right? So I wasn't really a bodybuilding material. I was fit and I looked really good as far as like shredded, but no size to me whatsoever. I'm 5'11", 6 foot on a good day. At 160 pounds, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that impressive. But when I actually competed and started winning, everybody was like, oh shit. They weren't laughing anymore because all of a sudden my body had changed. And of course they're like, wow, okay, this kid is serious. Like, he knows what he's doing. I had no clue what I was doing, but my body was just responding well to it.
Did you have like a coach to help you do poses and stuff like that, or did you just watch videos?
I mean, so no. The short answer is no. So I started, my first competition was in 2005. So to give you an idea, there only was bodybuilding, right? All these other divisions that you have now currently, I don't know if you follow bodybuilding or not, but there's like 30 divisions that exist now. None of that existed. Very little material on YouTube, because YouTube at that point wasn't even like commercialized to the point it is now. There's like random people posting random videos. Now it's more like, you know, you actually have channels on YouTube now, you know.
Yep.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
You're on a channel right now, guys. Hit that subscribe button.
Exactly, correct. Well, back then there was almost nothing, and I remember I bought this book, the Bodybuilding Encyclopedia by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I have that book.
It was called The Bible of Bodybuilding. And I read this book back and forth maybe about 3 times. And I even used to do the routines like he gives on those books. And I look at it now, I'm like, man, I was crazy to do this stuff. But, you know, that's all I knew. The scope was so narrow back then. Nobody had an idea what bodybuilding was. Like, you went to a gym, maybe one bodybuilder there. Now you go to a gym, you got like 17 people in one gym competing at something. You know, it's like all mainstream. Obviously with Instagram now, you got all these. This was before Instagram even existed. Instagram didn't come on the market until 2010, 2011. This was like before any of these platforms existed. We had Facebook barely, YouTube barely, so everything was like bro science. And if you saw some dude at the gym you liked, you're like, hey, what do you do for your arms? Or hey, what do you do for your back? And that was like the science we had, you know what I mean? And books and magazines, like that's all it was down to.
Yeah, so that Encyclopedia book, I have that one. We used to get Flex magazine, and you see Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman's hamstring workout to really get all those things.
You used to cut those things out, and you could go to the gym and do them. And, you know, sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't.
Now, you're in this industry, right? And I'm sure people ask you, like, what do you do for your lifting? How much of those magazines are, like, bullshit? Or, like, not bullshit, but, like, that's not what those guys are doing. That's just something they're putting in a magazine for the general population.
So, that's a good question. A lot of people will be like, well, you know, do these routine work, right? Or what routine is the best, right? Or what do you do? What does that person do? So, what I found out is that everything works, right? Those routines are real. The bodybuilders do those routines. I do the routines I advertise often. It's just how you do them, right? How do you perform a squat? Everybody squats, but then everybody will get the benefits of the squat because they don't use proper body mechanisms, or they will overload too much weight and not do full reps, or they'll make mistakes. They'll overload it with their back more than their quads or their glutes. You know what I mean? So there is a way that the routines work. It's just how you apply them, right? And also, you know, how long do you work out? Maybe 2 hours a day, max 3 hours a day. If you're like, I don't know, Superman. But what do you do the rest of the 20 plus hours during the day, right? Are you eating like slob? Are you maintaining your nutrition? Are you resting? Are you supplementing, right? Are you taking the basic vitamins and stuff? So all of that plays into effect, right? It's not just I'm doing this cool, latest, greatest workout. That's good. But what are you doing the rest of the 20 plus hours of the day? And that's what the mistake that I wish I had known then, what I know now, right? Because back then I thought it's just about training, right? I'm going to get in this gym, I'm going to live the entire gym, and I'm going to go home and I'll look like these comical heroes on these magazines, right? No, not the case. It's actually quite the opposite. It's what you do the rest of the day that counts for what you did in the gym, right? So, yeah, that's something. The routines work. It's just how you use them and what do you do the rest of the day. So, yeah, the routines are real. Those people are really doing those exercises. They're not coming up with some crazy cuckoo stuff in the gym, but it's how you apply them, and how strict and motivated you are the rest of the day, disciplined.
So what would it look like your daily or weekly training? Would you be in the gym for 2 hours a day, take a nap, go back? Or is it just like an hour in the morning, an hour at night? You split it up with cardio, upper body?
Okay, so good question. It has evolved, right? So when I first started, again, I was literally following Arnold's blueprint to the Q, right? And he would train twice a day for 2 or 3 hours a day. And I was just that maniac. And I only went to college at the time, so I had the luxury of training twice a day. So I would go early in the morning, and and he would split it like back and chest and shoulders, biceps, tries, and legs, right? So I was crazy to go and do chest and back, and then come back at night and do legs, and I would do that for 6 days a week because I had the time, and I was also young enough, I was 18, 19, 20, to recover so quickly. Now, as I've progressed in bodybuilding, actually the bigger I got, and this is something that people don't often talk about, the bigger you get, the more muscle you put on, the more you actually need to rest and relax, and because you're always taxing your central nervous system. Like, people don't talk about that when they get into depth, but you still have the same central nervous system as when you were a small person, but now you tax more muscle on, you actually need more rest and recovery. So my routines got lazier, and I put that in quotation marks, but in the later part of my career, when I got bigger and I actually looked better, I was only training 4 times a week with weights. I would typically do cardio in the morning, like I would wake up first thing in the morning to do fasted cardio. I have a cardio machine at home, so if I'm lazy and I don't want to go drive to the gym, I would just do at home. I got an elliptical. And then at night, I would do, or middle afternoon, like right now I go during my lunch period at work, I go into the gym. So then I do weights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I was seeing the best results, I was doing cardio in the morning, first thing, fasted stomach. It would kind of wake me up too. It would set my brain like, hey, good morning, here's going to be a good day, come home, take a shower, eat, and then get prepared for the day ahead. And then at night after work, usually I'd go into the gym really hard for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, just lifting weights, with a purpose to get big, and then go home, relax, take a shower, eat, and then do it again the next day. So that's what worked best for me.
Right, yeah. And everybody's going to have a little bit of different, but the idea is going to be the same. Like, you have to keep it simple. You're the different training systems, like I own a CrossFit gym, so we're not going to technically train a bodybuilding style or split. We're going to use the whole body as a system, but it's you can use all of these things together and it will help, but there's different approaches for bodybuilding because you have to isolate certain things. So you're not necessarily going to put a CrossFit workout together. Maybe you will once in a while, but it really isn't going to be your thing. So for you, I'm thinking depth on squats isn't as important as just keeping the muscle as contracted as possible throughout the reps. So you're trying to get that pump. And instead of like full range presses, maybe you're just locking out for 20 reps, just trying to keep the blood flowing and pumping. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I always tell people, because, again, being in the military especially, a lot of people do more CrossFit style workouts. And I've also gotten into that, and I'll tell you my routine now, because as I'm getting older, we'll touch up a little bit how it progresses. Because I told you, I've always been progressive with weightlifting, right? I look at myself 10 years ago, and I'm like, how was I doing all this crazy stuff, So, but yes, bodybuilding, I always tell people, you're training to grow the muscle. It's irrelevant how much weight I lift, right? Because no one would ever see me on stage or in public and be like, oh, they will ask, how much do you lift, right? How much do you bench? That's the number one question. But it didn't matter. As long as it looked like my chest was full and I could bench the world, I don't care if I benched 120 pounds.
Right.
The goal was to build muscle, not to perform athletically in any way, shape, or form, not to be healthy in any way, shape, or form, not to be functional. Like, it didn't matter if I was functional or not, right? I just needed my arms to burst through my sleeves. That was the objective. So, yes, it was more concentrating on muscle growth and whatever made that happen. I didn't need full range of squats. I didn't need full mobility of my hips, right? Things that I'm working on now, right? Because I've messed up with the years, because, a little stupid, but trial and error. You learn from your mistakes. But yeah, whereas now, as I'm getting older, we'll touch up on this a little bit quickly, I've shifted my focus. I still train as a bodybuilder. I still do, bicep curls and triceps and all that stuff. Like, chest presses and cross flies and all the cool little needy things. But I've shifted my focus now. What I'll do is 1 week I'll train like bodybuilding style, and then the next week I'll do CrossFit style, and then next week bodybuilding, and then my hardest training is actually the CrossFit style because it's so much more taxing on my overall body. So I only do that 3 times a week.
Right.
Bodybuilding, I go 5 days out of the week workout, and I call it a lazy workout now because my heart rate when I'm doing CrossFit style is like 150 to 160 throughout the whole workout, maybe more sometimes. Whereas bodybuilding, I do a set, I take a 2-3 minute break, I do a set, I take 2-3 minute break. So I call it lazy week now versus intense week.
Yeah, you're doing 3 CrossFit workouts a week? You're doing more than I do.
Well, yeah, they're pretty taxing. I can send you the routines later if you want. You'll be like, you're crazy if you're doing this. But yeah, it's.
I like to use like light CrossFit in the morning, like something that just moves me around. So like you were saying, doing cardio in the morning like helped wake you up. I think that's good to do something light in the morning just to wake yourself up if you have the time to go back to the gym later. If you don't, then you got to do what you got to do. But when you have a time and you're coaching, like I'm in the gym for 12, 13 hours a day, so I can spread my whole day out, and maybe I'll have 15 minutes. So in the morning, I like to do like a light row with some burpees or something, and then I'll hit my heavy weights later in the day, twice a day, whatever it is. I have 20 minutes. But for me, it's different. Like my goal is to lift as much weight as I can overhead. For you, it's to lift as much weight to get the pump and build the muscle. Yeah. Like, dude, I don't. What do I gotta eat to get bigger? Because I'm fucking small, man.
But yeah, so, and I always say, like, now, again, we'll talk a little about my current state, right? Because obviously I have a kid now, job, right? Wife, a lot of responsibilities. So
you're still in the military, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So my schedule is pretty booked up. Like I mentioned earlier, I work now during my lunch hour, right? So we get an hour of lunch. So I go to the gym at work. I just go, change real quick, get my workout in with weights, and then go back to work, and then come home. Because once I come home, now it's time to spend time with my kids, time with my wife. I don't got time now for the luxury to go back to the gym and spend another 3 hours, right? But what we do, especially as the weather gets nicer, as I mentioned, I'm in Florida now, so in the morning, like early in the morning, my wife, myself, and we'll take the baby on the stroller. We'll go for like a 30-minute walk around the neighborhood. And that's kind of like our hey, we're waking up. Cardio, it's not really cardio because we're just walking, but it's still healthier than, sitting down and, watching TV and eating breakfast, right? So we start the day off right. We go out for a little stroll, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D if the sun is up, because it's around 7 o'clock in the morning. I'll come home, then we'll eat breakfast, I'll get ready to go to work. And then during my lunch hour, we'll go get my workout in, come back, and then spend the rest of the night with my kid, my wife, and then go to sleep, wake up the next day, do it again, right? So it's a little different structure than what it used to be, but I make it work, and that's the main thing. As long as you make it work, somehow it doesn't have to be like you have to wake up every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to get in an hour of Stairmaster, right? I mean, if that's what you want to do it, but, there's ways around it, right? If you don't have the luxury to be 3, 4, 12 hours at a gym, I wish I worked at a gym. I can work out 6 times a day.
You do and you don't. You do and you don't.
Yeah, you do and you don't. But you know what I mean? Like, so you adapt. I think that as long as you try to adapt, you can get it done.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's like quality over quantity, and it's about keeping your stress levels to a minimum. If you stress about training, your training's never going to go well. And I deal with that with a lot of people here. It's like, dude, relax. We're just lifting weights. It's not a big deal. You're here for health and fitness, not to win $1 million. Like, you're never going to be a millionaire lifting weights. Nobody gives a shit about it.
Absolutely. Trust me.
Yeah. So, what do you cook all your meals? Do you do a crazy meal prep, or do you get meals through work? How's that work? How's that go?
So, I think I've been eating the same meals for about, 16 years now, more or less. I cook everything myself. I'm fortunate enough now that my wife cooks, because when I was single, I was cooking myself, and it would be just plain grilled chicken 3 times a day with asparagus and maybe some brown rice, right? I'll keep it super simple. My wife is a great cook. but I still keep it relatively simple. But she'll add like flavors and spices and things that make it a little more delicious than what I was used to. Because I'll eat like plain boiled chicken and I wouldn't care, you know. But I do cook my own meals. I go at work literally with, I leave my house with like 3 bags, a gym bag, a lunch bag, and a work bag, you know. So I'm all loaded up, I get it, and for the rest of the day, I have my meals packed with me. And the worst part is sometimes when you're stuck at work in a longer shift, and I haven't anticipated that I would have been there that long. I usually don't have a meal, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm starving, I'm starving, I'm starving, I'm starving. But there's always healthy choices you can make, even if you got to go out and eat somewhere. I don't see any place that doesn't sell turkey breast or plain chicken with a salad, you know. So even if you're stuck somewhere on the road, you can always be like, hey, I can stop. Even at a deli, you can stop and get some turkey breast with some almonds and call it a meal. You know what I mean? Like, any place will give you something healthy if you want to, like. But me personally, I cook all my meals. I take them with me everywhere I go.
I cook all my meals too, and it takes forever on Sunday, dude. I gotta cook like 30 meals, and you know I like to cook and I like flavor. I don't like plain grilled chicken, like I do, but not every day. So I'll have to add some marinades. I'll make a pork. I'll smoke something. I'll make vegetables. Dude, but from 6 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night on Sunday, I'm cooking all day, and my wife hates me.
I do it different. I do a bunch of chicken breast, put them on trays, put them in the stove, add some spices on top, some Mrs. Dash stuff, and that's.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't. I just can't. It's not for me. I need more flavor. I need more fat. I make my own sauces. I get into some avocado cream sauce. I get the Mexican style. I go Indian. I get crazy on Sundays, man.
Yeah, that's too much for me. I'm like, yeah. Worst. If I need extra sauce down, they got like mustard, sugar-free ketchup, sugar-free barbecue. I'll just add some of that and call it a day.
I know. I wish I could, but I cannot. And then my wife hates me because I'm in the kitchen for 7 hours on Sunday. But it is what it is. I like to eat, and I like to eat good food. And just like you said, if you get stuck and there's no food to eat, dude, I'm the worst when it comes to that because I'm a snob about food. And I'll be like, if I don't have what I want to eat, I'm going to get really cranky. And it's then I get really aggressive with people. It's not fun.
It is. And I used to be like that too, obviously, especially when I competed because, again, every macro counts. Right now, I don't really, I look good, but I don't need to be on stage or, be judged. So it's like, I could get away with something not as rigid. Like, I remember when I used to compete, oh my God, if I didn't have a meal, I'd lose my brain. Like, what's going to happen now? It's like, I've learned over the years that it's okay. You could adapt. You could, nothing's really going to happen. I mean, don't go eat a burger at McDonald's just because you can't get a meal. Like, I'm just going to go and let it all ride now.
See, that's a full-time dad, full-time employee, full-time military, full-time husband. He gets it done, guys, and you can too. All right, so when did you get your pro card, and are you still competing?
Yeah, so I got my pro card in 2013 in men's physique. That was one of the new divisions. It started in 2011. So I saw it, and I'm like, ooh, I'll be good in that, because I'm tired of bodybuilding. I didn't want to grow as much. So 2013 was when I got my pro card, and then 2018 was my last show in classic physique that I did. It was a Tampa Pro. So I haven't competed since 2018. Also, it's almost 3 years now. Yeah, it was July 2018. And the reason being was, obviously, the kid. Another one was that I moved to 3 different states in the last 3 years. So I went from New York to Texas, from Texas to now Florida. So obviously, with the moving baby and everything, it just kind of like took a back seat. I don't know if I'm still going to compete or not. At the current moment, I'm like, not really. I don't have the motivation or the drive to endure that pain or be that selfish. Maybe later on, I might say, hey, why not? But, it's not like I'm officially retired. It's not like you put in a package and say, hey, I'm no longer going to compete. I still hold the professional status. So at any point in time, I could say, hey, I want to jump back on stage and then get ready for a competition,
What's it like going into the show, like preparing for your show, like when you were right before you got your pro card? So what was it like building up to that event?
Okay. Ooh. I mean, it's difficult, right? Like your discipline has to be on another level, and I try to explain this to people. you leave no margin up to guess, right? Like there's no room for error. Everything is weighed, measured, calculated. Like I would know exactly what I was doing 4 weeks in advance, right? And the intensity level and the mindset is really what shifts from when you're competing to when you're just working out for yourself, right? For healthy living. Um, at that point, when you're competing, you don't care about if you die on the next set of squats or on the next set of bench press. You just want to get the weight, get the muscle, build it. Like it doesn't matter, right? You're willing to take it as far as it goes. Whereas now it's kind of like, do I really need to lift this heavy? Oh, my back hurts a little bit, my knee hurts, I feel stiff today. I'm not gonna do it. When you're competing, there is none of that. So going to when I turned pro, initially, not to whine and complain, I should have turned pro like 2 years ahead. I looked great for the whole time being. I was cranking in the top 5 spots. I was like second, third, fourth on national levels, right? So I knew I had what it takes. I was just like, okay, when is it going to be my time, right? When is it going to be my time? And I continued training. Again, I think I was training harder when I was trying to earn my pro status than when I turned pro. You know what I mean? Like, because I was hungrier going after it as an amateur, right? Because I'm like, this is what I want to get. I want to get this status. I want to keep going. And then when I turned pro, I was like, man, that was just the beginning. Now I got to keep the same intensity if I want to be successful. And then obviously, injuries come in and fatigue comes in and life happens. So it's just, things get in the way. But it was all about mindset. When I turned pro, the difficulty of it just comes to flip that switch in your mindset. I don't care what happens. This needs to be done, and everything else comes second. Like everything else.
Yeah.
Just put to the side. Sit down. Right now, I got to focus on this.
What sort of injuries did you sustain when training for the events or competition?
So nothing too serious in the sense of like, oh my God, I needed surgery. Maybe I do. I don't know. I just don't get checked out for this. But shoulders always ache. Knees at this point hurt. Lower back hurts. Like I have tight hip flexors. Like I told you, my hip mobility is shit at this point. So I work on that now, but like back then I didn't care about hip mobility. I don't got 20 minutes to waste at the gym to open up my hips, right? It was just, hey, get in, start killing the weight because, we have a purpose here.
Right.
So obviously my hips, my glute, left glute is completely tight. I have to like stretch it on a regular basis because it's just, I can barely walk sometimes, it'll lock up. Ankles hurt, everything hurts. Like, literally everything hurts. But
everything hurts and I'm dying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you do a lot of PT or chiropractor, cryotherapy?
So I used to go to chiropractors regularly. I haven't gone to it for a while. It does help a little bit. Physical therapy, only when I get it through the military. If I sustain like an acute injury, right? Like, oh shit, I sprained my calf today or something. I pulled something, then I'll go to PT. I don't do like a prolonged version. Now I do a lot of stretching before and after working out. That minimizes my risk of injury. A lot of warm-ups. I'm one of those guys that warms up on every exercise now. Like you'll see me starting with some super lightweight and people look at the gym funny, but every exercise I do now comes with some warm-up. Like even if I'm doing legs, right? I've just finished heavy squats. And let's say I'm going to go do leg press. I'm going to start warming up on the leg press again, just because it's a completely different movement. And then some people argue, no, it's the same movement, right? You did the heavy squats, you jumped right into heavy leg press. I don't do that anymore. I'll warm up now with the leg press. And then I'll go to leg extensions and I'm like, well, my legs are already firing, right? I'll still warm up with the leg extensions, you know what I mean? And it's just something like that I found now works better,
Yeah. You get that garbage set in just to reset your body.
Pretty much. And like get mentally ready for the heavy sets. It's like, okay, cool. I can move this weight. Okay, now let's get serious.
Yeah.
So that's,
Man, bodybuilding. Awesome.
It is. It really is.
All right. We're going to wrap this one up. We're going to have to talk again because I want to get into your military career and all that stuff, but we'll have to do it another time because I ran out of camera space and now the video's out. But, dude, it was awesome talking to you. I'm really happy to see you, and you're doing great.
You too.
Let's wrap this one up. We'll continue to chat in a second. All right, guys. Thank you for coming on, dude. I appreciate you. Any last words of advice for any aspiring bodybuilders out there?
Ooh, I guess I wish somebody would have told me this when I first started, especially if you're going to go in the bodybuilding route. Think longevity, right? Take care of your joints. I know this sounds like an old grandpa talking, but take care of your joints, work on your mobility, and then build the muscle. Don't just say, I'm just going to build muscle, right? Learn how the muscle functions, learn your ancillary works and all that stuff so you could continue doing this at a very old age and hopefully injury-free, right? Then, work on the vanity muscles, looking good, big biceps and big chest and whatnot. But yeah, learn the proper etiquettes of lifting, learn the proper ways of lifting, and then jump into it and be a monster.
Keep it simple, guys. Age is inevitable. Weakness is not. So get out there and lift some shit and stay healthy, guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Thanks for watching today's MarbleCast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any content. Check out our Spreadshirt shop to grab some swag. And if you would like to support the MarbleCast, please head over to anchor.fm. All of the links are in the description, and it helps us out to keep the channel running. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.